Every small change that originates in the healthcare system resonates across the world. Can technology make the healthcare accessible to the masses? Can the digitalization trickle down to all the end users in the chain? Who else can throw more light onto this topic than our man of the masses himself, Dr. Devi Shetty, founder of Narayana Hridayalaya? Dr. Shetty, a cardiothoracic surgeon, owns a US patent for systems in delivering patient care. He is a highly respected luminary, a visionary, in fact, who has made quality healthcare affordable for all. He is globally recognized for his ingenious ideas for cost-efficient healthcare and to minimize errors in care. The Harvard and the Wall Street Journal celebrates Dr. Devi, who's the pride of our country. The media wants him all the time. Happy and proud to welcome Padma Shri Padma Bhushan Dr. Devi Shetty for the keynote address. Requesting Dr. Rajkumar Patil to chair this session. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon once again. The topic is, can technology make healthcare delivery accessible for the masses? And of course, we have the legendary speaker, the legend himself, Padma Vibhushan and Padma Shri Dr. Devi Shetty, who is admired all over the world. And of course, first we would like to hear from you, sir. Over to Dr. Devi Shetty. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much, Rajkumar. Thank you. I'm extremely grateful to the organizers for providing me this platform. First of all of us know that the healthcare is never going to be the same. COVID has changed everything what we know of healthcare. I will give you one example. 17 years ago, I was treating heart patients across the country in remote locations of Eastern India and in Africa, sitting in my office with the ISRO provided video link, a satellite link, and I treated over 53,000 heart patients before people thought that the cloud only brought the rain. We never knew what cloud was at that time. At that time, sitting in my office here, I have treated that many patients. But in spite of my effort and everyone involved in telemedicine, till COVID came, telemedicine was illegal. There are hundreds of documents created by the government of India about how to propagate telemedicine, but legally it was not acceptable. If you have prescribed a medicine online, it is illegal according to the law of the country. But 15 days of COVID-19 changed everything. Telemedicine got legalized. How technology will disrupt everything what we do can be simply analyzed by the judgment of a judge in Uttarakhand High Court. 5 years ago, he gave a judgment that no doctor practicing in the state of Uttarakhand can prescribe medicine on a paper and a pen. It has to be a digital prescription. Society is moving far, far ahead of the technology, and society is moving much, much faster than the doctors desire to embrace technology. So we have no choice. People want it. It is not the question of whether you like to embrace the technological changes. It is a matter of time before it will be thrust on us. There is a very interesting saying by one of the radiologists from one of the European countries who said that AI is not going to replace the radiologist. AI is going to replace the radiologist who uses AI than the radiologist who doesn't use AI. That's all. People who use the technology will take larger share of the pie compared to doctors who refuse to change. Now, time has come for us to embrace the technology. Now, why do we have to embrace technology? It is mainly because technology is the only thing which can democratize healthcare. Technology is the only thing which will make healthcare affordable, accessible, and safe for the masses. I will give you one of the data from Joint Commission of US about safety of healthcare. Over 60% of the sentinel events which happened in Joint Commission accredited hospitals across the world, over 60% are due to communication failure. Now, what is communication failure in the healthcare services? Patient gets a bypass grafting done, comes to the ICU, gets a chest X-ray done. But as usual, nobody looks at the chest X-ray because patient is stable. Unfortunately, if the patient had a pneumothorax, on ventilator, it will only get bigger, especially if there's a tiny air leak. And a time will come that patient blood pressure will start going down and patient may even have a cardiac arrest. When that happens, people will rush and see what is the problem with the X-ray. And then they realize that there is a tension pneumothorax, which was detected in the first X-ray, which was done 2 hours earlier. Now, this is the communication failure. Now the question is, why that X-ray was not seen by the doctors the moment it was made? It is because X-ray gets loaded to the desktop. For an intensivist to see the X-ray, first he has to find a desktop near to the bed where he is. Then he has to code his ID number, which is usually 10, 12 digit number. No doctor knows their ID number. So they need to write it in a piece of paper. Then they have to code it. Now to code that, he needs to see. So he has to wear his glasses. Then after that, he has to punch in the patient's MRN number. Then only he can see the X-ray after navigating half the world. Now, is it possible if there are 20 people managing that patient in the ICU, can all of them have in their mobile phone, as soon as the X-ray is done, can it appear? It is possible. So if we can bridge all these gaps of communication problem with a technological tool, we can have extremely safe healthcare. And because you are seeing the X-ray in your mobile phone, you do not need to print the film. So you have saved the money, and there are softwares today which can interpret most of the X-rays, at least give a hint of a pneumothorax or anything serious problem. So essentially, all these tools need not be developed by us. It is already available. All we have to do is to embrace it. So we believe that if we can shift the entire digital tools from the desktop to the mobile phone, we will be able to change the way healthcare is delivered, mainly because doctors look at the desktop 5 to 6 times in a day. They look at their mobile phone 200 times in a day. So if you want their attention for patient care, you have to give the message to them in their own mobile phone. Now, other important development what needs to happen is that every patient must have their medical records on their own mobile phone. That is very, very important. It is as good as, because people today carry their mobile phone wherever they go. It's very familiar sight for us to see our patients coming to us with a thick file with the medical records of 20 years, 30 years. No doctor can decipher it. No doctor has the time to go through all the records. in case those records are organized and a copy is available in their phone, we can actually treat the patients better. And if the medical records of every patient is in their mobile phone, wherever the patient goes, the data goes with them, because today people forget their spouse, but they never forget their mobile phone. So it's as good as having all your data with you wherever you go. So essentially our dream is to have a hospital, an affordable hospital, where there is a reception without receptionist, where there is an intensive care unit where there are no intensivists. And it is possible. It is possible. It has happened in every industry. Why it cannot happen here? If you insist that every patient should book an appointment before coming to the hospital, as soon as the appointment is made, a nurse will call the patient and finish the registration. Nurse sitting at home and the patient is at home, they'll finish the registration and the nurse will take the history and the nurse will give the appointment to see the doctor. And 10 o'clock is the appointment on Monday morning. Patient will come at 9:50 and walk to the doctor's office without having to wait in the reception. Now, if we have the entire medical records of the patient in their own phone, you don't need intensivist at least after 6 o'clock at night, because across the world, best care in the ICU is given to the patient between 9 to 5. 16 hours in a day, a ICU patient in India or in US or Europe gets suboptimal care with junior intensivists and junior nurses. So if we can split the 16 hours when the patient gets suboptimal care into 4-hour slots and let the intensivist stay at home in their mobile phone or a laptop or the tablet, they can see the patient. All the medical records come to the patient real time and they can take any decision. And all we need for a 100-bed ICU, all we need is 4 or 5 anesthesiologists who can put a central line or adjust the ventilator. And you need a surgeon who can re-explore after a heart operation. That's all what we need. The thinking of what needs to be done is done by doctors who are relaxed, who get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, have a cup of tea, and they are taking care of the patient. And they are a lot more attentive than a intensivist who didn't sleep whole night, and 5 o'clock he is asked to take a decision. So I know when I talk about it, it may sound as if, these are all a hypothetical situation. Let me, I'll just share my screen of my mobile phone. I will show you bits and pieces of the software we have created. All I am trying to say that it is possible for us to have Indian software developed by Indian software team, which works more or less like a WhatsApp, which is the information is shared by all the doctors, and collectively they can take decisions. You take a chest X-ray, X-ray appears in the mobile phone. You want to write the progress notes, the entire team can see. And there is even possibility of giving the risk stratification. So the application is called Adi. This is the way it looks like. When you see the red icon, that means the patient is in the ICU. And these are my patients who are in the ward. Let me pick up one patient. When you see inside the bubble, there is DHKL. That means the diabetic hypertensive kidney failure. So this is the way it looks like. This lady had an aortic arch replacement, and you want to see the cardiac monitor, you can see the cardiac monitor. And if the patient had all the reports, you can see all the blood test reports come. If the patient had a chest X-ray, X-ray comes in the screen. And if the patient had any chemistry analysis, directly from the chemistry analyzer, report goes to all the 20 mobile phones. Then you can see any of the, if you want to see the old, all these options are available. I can order for investigation staying at home. Now I do the ICU rounds at 11 o'clock at night before I go to sleep. And 5:30 in the morning, I'm again doing the rounds. I can order for investigation, medication, consultation. I can even communicate with the family. And supposing I want to see what is the trend of all the reports, I can access the chest X-ray, or I want to see the trend of creatinine. So this is the creatinine level, and this is the, you can see the how the creatinine is climbing up. So essentially, everything what you want to do with the patient data is available in your own phone, so that you can take real-time action. It doesn't matter whether you're in India or outside India or any part of the world, you are with your patients. So these are the technological tools which took us about 5 years to build, but these are the possibility. And in the next 2 months' time, our intensivists will be covering the ICU from home, because I just want to reproduce a statement by Neil Armstrong when he landed on the moon. He was doing a lot of maneuvering, and it was a very complex maneuver, first time a human being landing on the moon. When he came back, when the media was interviewing him, how did he accomplish all this task millions of miles away from the Earth? All he said was, I just did what I was told. We were told not to think, but implement what we were told. And this is the way, if you want to get the best care, people around the ICU bed with the great skill should do what they are told by the intensivists who are at home in their own drawing room or a bedroom, who are sitting there with a cup of tea, going through all the data of the patient. They are the people who can take the right decision. And this is the way healthcare will move. Healthcare will move in a manner that, whether we like it or not, first consultation for any disease, whether it's a headache, body ache, chest pain, for every consultation will happen online. And if the patient gets headache at 10 o'clock at night, he wants to see the doctor at 10 o'clock at night, and the doctor will be available. If I don't want to treat the patient at 10 o'clock, somebody else is going to do it. And specialties like diabetes, heart failure, chronic kidney disease, psychiatric consultation, everything will move online. And almost all the patients, after the procedure is done, when they go home, they will expect us to see them online. And more than anything else, these technological tools will restore the joy of taking care of the sick. When my teachers were treating patients, there was only chest X-ray or some simple blood test. There was no CT, there was no MRI, there are none of those gadgets. Today, every patient has at least few hundred data points, and it is humanly impossible for anyone to decipher all the data and come up with the right decision. So technological tools are going to restore the joy of taking care of the patient, and they will democratize the healthcare, making healthcare affordable, accessible, and safe healthcare for everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm extremely grateful to you.
Thank you, Dr. Devi Shetty, for your very enlightening talk. And of course, embracing the technology is definitely, it has come because of the COVID pandemic in a very hasty manner. We had no choice at all. The healthcare professionals did not have the choice. The patients did not have the choice. The families did not have the choice. So we adopted it very quickly. And of course, that telemedicine guidelines, the authorities released the telemedicine guidelines within the 15 days of the pandemic. And that was a wonderful step. Also now, remote monitoring of the patients on the mobile phones, that is absolutely a boon for the doctors. And your concept of intensive care units without the intensivist, I liked it very much. Of course, I'm sure the audience has been more than enthralled with this concept of intensive care without an intensivist. I'm sure this idea will be explored further by all the stakeholders. There is, however, this technology how will this technology, be beneficial to our rural population? That is what my question would be.
Yes. See, I'll give an example. Today, a lot of my patients, I see them online with the heart patients or their children. When I look at the backdrop of those patients, especially from Eastern India, you cannot believe that a slum with the stray dogs everywhere and a house which only has a roof, the powerful wind can take off the roof anytime, with garbage and the entire everything is thrown everywhere. In that kind of a backdrop, a young lady holding a child in one hand and a mobile phone in the other hand talks to me, and I give the advice to her about how to take care, what treatment has to be given for a child. This is unthinkable. In no part of the world, I've got stills of those. It is worth preserving, because this is the beauty of technology. How can that lady, if she has to come and see me in Bangalore, the journey itself will not be, she can't, her entire month's revenue will be utilized only for the journey. They forget about the heart surgery.
Yeah.
So you see, I have no doubt that India will become the first country in the world to dissociate healthcare from affluence. India will prove to the world that the wealth of the nation has nothing to do with the quality of healthcare its citizens will enjoy. That can only happen by massive adoption of digital technology. And this is the power of technology. You're not talking to rural people. You're talking about people who cannot afford to have a roof over their head. Talking to one of the senior doctor of the country, right? You cannot imagine this kind of a situation in any part of the world.
Absolutely fantastic. There's one question from Dr. Vijay Agarwal. Is Adi available to other hospitals, and at what cost?
Yes, I'm very happy. I can give it to Dr. Vijay Agarwal free of cost if he wants, no problem. No, the whole idea of developing this technology, you see, why I'm so bullish on affordability and technology, closely linked, because this is the beauty of converting atoms into bytes. If I have 1 kilo of rice, I give you half a kilo of rice. I lost my half a kilo of rice. We have spent millions of dollars in developing this software to take care of our patients. Now, if Dr. Vijay Agarwal or anybody else wants it, technically, I can give it to them free of cost. They will have exactly what I have, and I haven't lost what I have. This is the beauty of converting atoms into bytes. Our dream is that every hospital in the world should be able to have the most advanced EMR at a price what they can afford. And what is the price they can afford? For every patient in ICU, if they can pay the price of one disposable syringe per patient per day, that is the money which is more than sufficient for this kind of a technology to spread across the country. And that is our dream.
Yeah, thank you, sir. There is one comment from our patron, Professor Venkatesh Tuppil, that my comment is, when technological tools are adopted, every bed on which one sleeps will be the patient bed.
Exactly. Yes.
That's a good insight, thinking deeper. And one comment which has just come in from Raghuram. Dear sir, I lead the digital health at Jio. Really great work by the team. How do you see this going forward and reach to everyone?
See today, can we run a banking system without a software? Can we run a retail? Can we run a supermarket without a software? Our industry is no different. Irrespective of how much we want to say we are different, we are no different. If you really want to give the best care to the patient, we have to go for massive adoption of the technology. And believe me, what will happen is, I have no doubt that smart software will make smarter diagnosis than the doctors in the next few years. I think it is already there, technological tools. I'm just saying it will take few years so that my colleague doctors, my contemporaries won't shoot me down. But I can tell you that within the next few years, it will become legally mandatory for the doctors to get the second opinion from the software before starting the treatment. We may take the first diagnosis, that's okay. But we have to get a second opinion from a software. This is going to happen. It is better we be the change agent than these changes are thrust on us.
Yeah. Fantastic, sir. Thank you for your time once again. And it was very enjoyable. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rajkumar. And thank you, Dr. Devishetty, for taking this time off to come to this conference. We can very clearly see that your heart lies in your phone. And I'm sure as a woman, I would agree with you that wives are soon going to be replaced by phones in the respective husbands. So, and I hope democracy exists then too. So, thank you so much for setting this momentum for session number 1. And thank you for taking this time off.